Hey everybody, welcome back to another MMO class. Yours truly, Mr. Derek T. Stevens, sitting and at least spiritually next to Mr. Nelson Swishy Pants. He is my handler. He's in Dixon, Tennessee in the Buzz Cave. He will be able to gauge if you guys have questions or you have comments. I'm not that clever. I don't have that on my screen to speak. I just like to talk to myself. Myself and Mr. Thimble, he lives in my phone, but we all know that by now. We have some major stuff going to go on tonight, some great art that I want to show you. Tonight we were supposed to come up with some more male armor. And I know Wolf Knightley's got a couple more pages all the way colored. Brilliant. We're going to showcase that. And just to put the seed in your ear right now, we're going to start talking about humans tonight. I honestly believe we've almost to a point now with the Elysians where we're going to have the game developers start to give us directions about, yes, this is good, this is not, we can do this. And I fear that we're so involved in this big forest of Elysians. If we take a step back and start creating the human side, their technology, their wants, their drives, that will actually help us when we come back to revisit Elysia. I feel that we're in a pretty good spot tonight. So, Mr. Nelson, if you can go ahead and bring in, I'll just bring in everybody. Chelsea, Sid, Mr. Ray, and Wolf. I'm not sure if Mr. Steve Curtis is here yet.
Steve is here, Sid's here, Wolf's here.
Excuse me. I'm sick. I have a temperature, just like my little girl.
Lies.
She brought it home, sniveling little snot face, who I love with all my heart. All right, Stu, who do we have online? Sound off.
Ray's here.
Hey, Mr. Ray. Rock on.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Good. Hello. Wolf, are you here?
I'm here.
Das Hundsmeister. Is Liebchen here? Is Eva here? Because she's
Yes,
staying.
she is.
Go ahead and bring her in as well because she's staying up god awful late or / early, and I'm glad that she's here tonight because I'm sure you've already shown her the pages, haven't you, Wolf, that you've colored?
What's that?
I'm sure you've already shown Eve your
Yeah,
page.
I've shown her.
Dude, I was blown away. So seriously, without any other further ado, do you have those pages up right now?
I do now.
Brilliant. So what we're going to do, here's a game plan. And again, we're interactive. I want everybody here to ask questions. This is your game as well as our game, okay? It's an interactive thing. We're going to go through the pages that Wolf has done. I definitely want feedback from all the art team. And then we're going to go through our assignments that we've done for tonight. And then after break, I should take us up to the 10 o'clock hour, at least my time. And then we're going to come back and start picking our brains for humans and their tech. And I know Mr. Ray, and he's been talking to some other people, have some sort of idea of what may or may not be. So we will visit that. So Mr. Nelson Swishy Pants, if you can take Das Hoopmeister, his screen, that would be fantastic, please, sir.
And Das Hootmeister is Wolf.
Wolf,
Yeah.
yes. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Here we go. I have to click OK. Isn't that beautiful?
Thing. Word.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love, are they pastels? Is that the word I'm searching for? The yellows and the pink, the hues, the purple.
I don't know.
Great.
They're watercolory to me.
Yeah, okay. I can deal with that. I love the effect of the stone and embracing her and like, boop, she's got it.
This one right here?
The one right next to the right. I love how you started making her hands glow. I mean, you're foreshadowing from that post right there, that picture, and then she places it in, her clavicle, and boom, she's alive. And then that shot, brilliant stuff.
It's shining the light on her, too. I lightened her for that.
Really, really
I
good.
like that. Yeah.
So now, what did you do
This
to
is
study
radiating.
lights? And like, did you Google a lot of reference images, or how did you go about that?
I just played with it.
Nothing wrong with that.
I just, I mean, I don't know. I guess I made it sort of flame-like. What I do, for some reason, I don't think it's actually any better, but it just, for my mind, it clicks more, is I put a layer and I do it completely solid. So I'll get the basic shape, and then I'll put a mask on, and I'll start putting transparency with I'll do for the tablet, I'll do pin pressure for transparency, so I can have kind of control over
And
that.
ideally, what you did inadvertently, you didn't know, but that's what they do. Like in Marvel Studios, they have what they call a flattener. They just put all the flats in, no tones, no shadows, no nothing. And like you said, you're working flats first, and you have to start there. And ideally, you always work from light to dark. And normal, I guess, let me revisit that. Back in the day before Photoshop and all that, when you're dealing with acrylics or airbrushing, because you can't really adjust the opacity on the fly with a brush. You can a bit with airbrush. So you always had to start out light because you can always add dark to it. But in
I did
Photoshop,
kind of the opposite.
what?
I did kind of the opposite for the light stuff, because I started out with full color, and then I started taking away transparency on the edges, so that it's more transparent, looks lighter there.
I like it. Really, really well done. I love the drop shadow. Brilliant, well done job. Mr. Ray, your thoughts?
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Hells yeah.
I added kind of a highlight here. That it was Sydney's idea for a lighter highlight behind these purple gray things coming out, and I think it does help make it pop a little bit. I mean, she might have been
depth.
Yeah, she might have been thinking a little bit more of a contrast, but I wanted it a little more subtle. But anyway.
Well, between Eve's drawing and Wolf's coloring, it is virtually dead on what I had in mind for that page.
That's brilliant to hear. Eve, are you there, baby girl?
She should be. She's unmuted.
Can you hear me, Eve? Yes.
Well, I know. Oh, here she is.
Hello, this is Eve, and Derek is so awesome. Wolf's okay.
Oh,
I'm screwing with you. I'm sorry.
I know she said the only thing that she didn't like is gray on this last one, the open one. She knew it was open, but she would like.
What I would suggest, and I'm going back to the early days of Image Comics, and they were this fierce about not putting any background in anything. Later, they started, hey, we should really add some background. But the only thing I would suggest is a rectangle directly behind them that goes beyond them a bit at a different color to kind of break that solid gray up.
You mean to color a rectangle?
Tell you what, take my page back, my screen back, Mr. Swishy Pants.
The thing is, I liked the gray. My kind of thinking is it's kind of a bleak moment for them, and I like how there's nothing but them. There's no background or anything. It's but just kind of the mood. It's not a happy mood. I wouldn't want something, like a happy color or something. But just the sense of that something bad has kind of happened in there. It's kind of bleak. Plus, I like how I think they kind of pop out, especially her, the mother. But I might have gone for red for like a worry kind of thing, but that would hide him. So I don't know. That's what my thinking.
Mr. Nelson, can you take my screen back, pretty please?
Maybe.
Meant a few words, but important words. All right, here's what I was thinking. Okay, and this is very rough, rudimentary stuff. We got this dude here, standing here, basically drawing stick figures. The wife, kind of in the foreground. Her hands are up to her face. And we got the dude in the cloak. This is not the exact position by any means. And you have all this other stuff. Gray back here. What I would suggest is, okay, I'm not using the straightener. So you have all your grays through here. So you have that bleak mood. But if you were to draw that and make sure it's spot on and straight, not haphazard like I'm doing,
Right.
and you can throw a different color here, and I think it'll make these guys pop even more. But you'd still have the atmosphere of bleakness. Just an idea, and you don't have to do it. But that's what I was thinking about.
What kind of color? I mean, what would it represent? Just a shape?
It's just a geometric shape. Make again, going back to right, wrong, or otherwise, what they did in Image a long time ago. When they first started, they would do that. And it would, again, I think it might make the people, boom, pop as a center focal point, and you saw that heavy atmosphere all around them. That was my idea, and you don't have to do it by any means, because I think it's brilliant what you got.
I'll try something like that. Let's see what it looks like.
Brilliant. Well done. Is Eve there? Can you hear me now, girl?
She switched headsets, so I don't know if she needs to be re-unmuted or not.
I also have homework, by the way.
Good. Let's do that. Okay, we'll start out with Mr. Huntemeister. Go ahead and take his screen back, and we'll work backwards, go over the homework. I'm excited to show you my idea about the villain and everybody else, what's going on. And we'll recap, redo, move forward, and I'm anxious to talk about humans. All right, Mr. Wolf. Nice.
This isn't really the homework that I was assigned, but I did try. I was thinking about having some kind of gauntlet or something for Sensha. This actually came out a little more futuristic than I had intended, but I was trying to make it look. You had spoken about something futuristic, kind of more about hybrid, probably, of the two things. But
I like it. What I would add is I put some stones on the outside, or at least one stone, like a power source, because some of the games that I played. God, what is it playing? Dragon Age Origins, and some of the weapons you have special slots for runes, and in gameplay, if we can make this happen once the development team gets involved, all our equipment, I'm hoping that has some upper tier equipment can have slots that you can put different stones in that will give different powers or power ups like that.
Yeah, I was thinking that the magic could go through these streams or something. Kind of, instead of electrical stuff, like
that's a cool idea.
It looks like.
So speaking of electricity and all that, did you remember to set your time and where you're at and what you were doing?
No, completely forgot about that.
All right. I didn't actually think about it today until I was at getting my little girl and her medicine. She has she has a 101 temperature. I'm close to it. And I thought, boom. Well, if I had a freaking magic soul stone of some sort, I would just heal her instead of giving her Motrin. And I just picture holding a stone over her head, glowing, and we're doing that Star Trek thing where it's infused in that little gauntlet thing and just swiping around, sort of thing. That was my thing that I did. So we'll talk to all the other people, what they were at and where they're at and what they were thinking. But continue, please.
This was a design concept for the portal ruin things.
Nice. I like that.
Very
So
cool.
what was your inspiration for the middle, besides being part of the Illuminati?
Yeah, I don't know. It just it seems kind of mathematical.
I like it. That's a very good point. It is mathematical, and it draws the eye to it. And because we're talking about having our Alethians travel through time to where we're at. I mean, can you imagine conspiracy theories? If I was a human on this world and I see that triangle, like, you know, Egypt to the pyramid and what our forefathers did in our dollar bill, I think it's a pretty damn good tie-in. And the Illuminati. They know about the aliens.
I was thinking that there's just like there's science behind our electronics and inventions and stuff. They might have math behind their magic stuff to be able to do all this stuff.
I'm not a mathematician, nor have I ever played one on TV, but I believe what you say. Math is a science and an art all to itself. So I think it's a very good point and a very good idea. Thoughts, art team, what do you think?
I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I can see that being a tattoo. We get some hardcore player like, yeah, it's part of the Illuminati. This shit's real. I'm sorry, this stuff's real. Mr. Ray, what do you think?
Oh, I like it. And in fact, what you guys were just talking about fits directly into the Earth story that Richard Gamble and I have been talking about.
Cool.
That's how to have a thread going on Earth that parallels the one here that ultimately collide with each other, but it indeed does involve on Earth a group of people who do, in a garbled way, remember the aliens and have a couple of the only Earth stones that the Alethians didn't get. And I'll leave it at that for the moment.
Ooh, you are talking about the Illuminati. I have my official pin and decoder ring. I'm part of the Illuminati.
Well, something like that, a society that has some people in it that have ways of not exact, but they're pretty sure that they're onto something about these stones and about the sky people and so on.
You know, interesting story that you bring this up. Are you guys familiar with Steve Jackson games? They do GURPS. I did some work for him in the past, a long time ago, when one of the guys that first gave me my shot at role-playing books, Phil Reed, actually went to be their art director. But they were doing a card game about the Illuminati and card games about, you know, terrorist attack, this and that. And it was all tied into the Illuminati. The FBI actually showed up at Steve Jackson Games' place and confiscated all the cards. And they had to tell them, well, why did you think of this? So if you get a knock on the door by the FBI, I had nothing to do with it. It was all Wolf's idea.
We've got it on the internet, so they already know.
You got a point. Well, screw it, and let's just go full tilt. Well done, Wolf. What do you think about colors for it?
Personally, I think that it'd be nice to have kind of a blue. I think it'd be very dark and unlit at first, but when she puts her hand in the thing, and it would light up, and so it'd be a brighter color, and then it would just kind of radiate up. Light would just radiate up from these things, and then she would portal. And
Nice.
Yeah.
Eve, is that you, baby girl?
I hope so.
Oh,
It's,
good.
the third headset I had to kind of grab and try. I don't know why the other one didn't work.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I want to get your thoughts on their color page. If you can flip back to that real quick, Mr. Wolf.
Oh, yes.
Eve, I love your work.
Thanks.
Chelsea, I love your work. And my work, it's all right. I'm getting there. But you've done a really good job. And again, Wolf, I really believe you're breathing life into our works by adding this color. Brilliant, beautiful stuff.
Cool.
But your thoughts, my liebchen.
Yeah, I already told Wolf that basically I like it. The only thing was that, like you said, with the last panel, that it's totally gray, because those characters basically kind of blend with the background. The clothes don't, but the characters kind of do. And for example, what I try to explain, maybe do a lighter background, like for example some lighter gray, like he did, for example, in the first panel, this kind of structure that kind of fades into this darker gray tone. So
Okay.
that there's something in the background kind of that sets it apart, because without any background drawings or anything, it's kind of yeah, for me at least it seems kind of maybe dull or unfinished. That's I think maybe the word I'm looking for, that there was supposed to be something behind them, and there isn't. It's just a solid color.
Gotcha. And I can understand that. All right. Any other thoughts? Eve, you there, girl?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Basically, everything else was okay. With the page before also, but I still didn't finish the revisions that Ray wanted for the third page. I hope that I finally get it done this weekend, because I'm finally having a long weekend
Good.
to
So
catch
we'll
up with
make you work
stuff.
for us.
Yeah.
You cannot take a break. You must work for us.
What do you think about the shape, Eve, of the stone?
The only thing I thought maybe it's a bit too long. That it's kind of, for example, when you look at it and it's in a clavicle, when she would turn her head down, for example, I would have kind of the I perceived it as she would basically stab herself the way it is now. At least from my perception, that in the one panel in the middle with the pink background, it's a bit maybe too long, but that's just nitpicking.
It's a valid point, though, too. But I love the shape of the wolf. Really well done.
Cool.
The shape is okay. Maybe if the middle part is a bit shorter, then it wouldn't look like, well, something that could actually stab her through the jaw when she's looking straight or down. But like I said, it's just
Right. Yeah, of course it is supposed to be kind of inside. You know, it's kind of supposed to be
yeah,
flat.
I know.
But yeah, I see what you mean.
Because basically we're having here a new idea, and not everyone gets it maybe by looking at the first couple of pages, so they would think, what the hell is happening here? I show the pages to my boyfriend, and he goes, she's going to stab herself. That's basically the first thing when I said, look, Wolf, send me the colored pages, and I really like them, but that was the one thing that kind of stuck out to him as someone who doesn't know what we're basically doing here.
It's good to have an outside perspective.
You have to remember that on the preceding page, there's a caption that explains what bonding is about.
Okay.
Okay, so you get that before she even goes into the ring.
Okay.
But I can see your point about it being a little on the long side. You can just keep the same shape and shorten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think you can do that, right, Mr. Wolf?
Yeah, I could do that.
Awesome. All right.
All right,
Any more homework that you got?
Just this one needs to be.
I would
yeah.
think that
The other one down, it's okay. The other one on the panel before is a bit too long, where you actually see it in full. Yeah, that was basically the one that he pointed out to me that was looking kind of weird or too long.
Okay.
all right, awesome. And
This
again,
one's fine.
I'd rather us nitpick, like you said, now, because when the pages are up, they're up.
They're up.
And I don't want to be like George Lucas going, hey, let's go back and fix this 10 years from now. And I want to put Jar Jar Binks in the background with a big fish eating another big fish. It's eating another big fish because we can.
I always assumed that's what we were doing when I colored. I would have colored it this way if we didn't expect us to do that eventually.
I'm sorry, but I appreciate it. Do you have any more work for us to show, Mr. Wolf?
No.
You're doing a great job, too, by the way. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Quite welcome. All right. Who wants to be next in the art? Actually, let's open it up to the panel. Does the panel have any questions or comments?
I agree with it that that bottom part should be blocked out somehow, and maybe you could do a gradient within it or something like that, just to give it a little more pop.
Make it more maybe interesting, so that, because like I said, I kind of have the feeling that something was supposed to be in there, and if I didn't know, I drew it, but if I didn't know, I would kind of think that the page is unfinished because there's nothing in the background to explain why it's just gray. If it's some kind of an abstract stuff in the background, then okay, it's the abstract thing that you did on the other pages as well, and it's self-explanatory.
So, Steve, when you said a gradient, were you thinking about from the top down or just from like where these guys are down here, this panel down?
You could have a sunburst from the center behind them, even, something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about an outline like the other panels have, and then maybe do like a center gradient out actually on top of that and make it a little transparent so it kind of shoots over some of those lines, which would give that surprised emotion to it.
Maybe even a circular
Yeah,
gradient?
yeah, a circular gradient over like a squared off outline like the other panels on the page have.
So like lighter to darker out?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. All right, I'll try some
It's hard for me to just explain.
All right.
No, good feedback. And this is, ideally, if we were all in the same studio, in the same room, it would be awesome. I'm trying to get Steve to move to North Carolina soon. There's a house for right next to me. I'm like, we can dig tunnels underneath and have secret passages. And we could draw all day and all night. It'll be awesome. He didn't say no. He just said he'd think about it. So,
I did not say I would think about it. I'm not moving to Carolinas.
Steve. We'll talk after class, and you will. And anyway, let's move to Chelsea, because I've seen some of her brilliant work, and I really want her to show her off. She's doing some excellent stuff.
She really is.
And Derek, while you're doing that, we have a new student in BuzzNet who has been following the Drawing 101, 2, and 3 classes and would like to help out.
Heck yeah.
DWD.
Do it.
Do it.
All right, right after Chelsea gets to showcase her work, if you can, Mr. Squishy Pants, bring this person in. And we need more help. We need more artists. We got lots going on. I pray that you can ink her letter and draw and do a jig and give me free whiskey on Thursdays. But all right, let's take Chelsea's screen. And Mr. Ray, thank you for bringing that up. Again, I don't have that screen in front of me, so I don't know what's going on. Nelson, you there?
Yeah, we're jumping in, Chelsea.
Yes, please. Look how beautiful that is. Man,
Thank you.
I just
Great drawing.
blown away. I was asleep and I got up in the morning and it's a habit checking my Facebook in the morning. And I seen that and I'm like, hey, Candace, wake up. I'm like, look at this shit. This is awesome. Another quarter. Look at this stuff. This is awesome. I mean, I was blown away by it. Your
Yeah, I was
line weight
probably
is...
going to bed by the time you woke up and saw it.
Yeah.
How long it took.
Yeah, but look what you've accomplished, because we talked about different hairstyles, and you got the best of both worlds. It's a great balance, and I really want to point out your line width variations. It's not one solid line width. There's thick to thin, like her deltoids or shoulders, and they pop. Her quadriceps, her leg that's out, that has most of the weight on it. It's going to be flexed. It's going to look like that, and you've captured that. I seriously, and I told my wife, I'm like, look at these toes. I love Chelsea's toes. Brilliant. And then I told Chelsea, I'm like, okay, you have to take these pages when she's an adult. And she said yes.
I did not say that.
I'm sorry.
Actually, the opposite of what I said.
Chelsea, I heard it both ways. Just like your dad's going to move to North Carolina. I heard it both ways.
Something
We'll
like
talk
that.
after class.
But yeah, that's just the line work, and I was working on doing the colors for it too, and there's just like the flat color of what I did.
Nice.
Because actually, while I was working on these, Wolf and I were talking on Skype and sort of talking about ideas here and there, and he had this idea that in his page where Cynthia is wearing that sort of pink color I have here, perhaps that would be something that we could use as an identifier, and she would have something on that color on her every time we saw her.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I liked that too, so I sort of kind of tried to do that in my drawings. The last one I didn't do it
Wait,
much,
don't do anything just yet, because I really want to point something else out. Her wrist guard that she has. I love how you put that strap on the back of her elbow to keep it in place.
Oh yeah, back behind her elbow.
Yes.
Spike
thing.
thing.
Small details like that add up so great.
Yeah, I kind of figured that would be something to sort of help hold it in place. And with that spike being there, it's perfect.
Exactly.
Can't slide down.
The colors really pop, except maybe the yellow. But other than that, those colors are amazing.
Only one thing that I have to bitch about.
Oh,
The two things. Here I go. You ready? Her hand that she's holding out looks a little small. You can do the select tool thing and just make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I was having issues with that hand. I got frustrated and quit messing with it.
Still looks really damn good. Dang, I owe 75 cents now. Darn good. Really darn good. Peas and carrots, cheese and rice. And the other thing is, and I forgot you don't use Photoshop. What I was asking, I'm like, well, can you use your burn tool to like give her shadow and more form? And you don't have that tool, so
I don't have that tool. I mean, I could probably get shadow in there, but it would take a lot of finagling with my sketchbook.
I think it's brilliant. Well done, man.
And I even have her crystal in there. I think I did make it shorter on accident than what Wolf did, but since we were just talking about that, I'm not sure if that looks better or if everybody likes that like that.
Yeah, actually.
The main thing is that it be very different from anyone else's stuff. And, that works. And if we need to make it a little shorter, a little taller, so that it doesn't look like it's going to be physically injurious to her.
Yeah.
I have another thing I'd like to add into just before she goes on her quest. I need Wolf to send me the page where he had the different shapes that he was looking at. So if Wolf could do that, I want her father, who makes war staffs. That's what he does. I want him to make her that has some stones in it that are not identical to the stones she has, but are similar to it. So I'd love to see the other shapes that Wolf showed us the other day.
You know what's? I don't know if that was happening to anybody else, but every time you got to the key points, your voice would warp out.
Yeah, it was.
I feel like I'm getting feedback.
I thought it was just me.
I think, Nelson, we can hear you texting, and it might be
is that me?
it. Yeah. I hear your little phone clomping.
That's who it is.
Sorry.
He types with a purpose.
I'm talking to Jason. I didn't realize it became unmuted. Apologies.
It's all good, baby.
Can you zoom in on the stone again for a second?
Yes.
So what were you saying? You were saying.
What I want to do, can you hear me now clearly?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for now.
Okay. What I want to do is have her father make her a staff to take on her quest that has stones in it that resemble this but are not identical to it. And you had a number of different patterns that you were playing with, and we picked this one. If you could just send me that email, because I want her to be able to fight, but she can't fight with the normal stones. So my thought is that an old woman gives these special stones to her father, and her father makes this staff. And it turns out to have stones in it that are compatible with her soul stone. So that's the thought. But I need some shapes that are similar, but not the same, but will have the same color and are clearly in the same family of shapes. With that. But
cool.
That's why I need it.
Yeah, that's cool. You had said something the other day about her weapon maybe kind of changing shape, being able to change shape. Didn't you say something about that?
Yeah, and I think when we get into a fight, what we're going to have happen is she's not directing it so much as her stone understands that there's danger and causes her staff to take different forms depending on the situation. But it's something that happens naturally, not something she does on purpose. She's still learning that her stone is special in ways that she doesn't quite understand.
Yeah, because I think that would be awesome to have a morphine weapon. That'd be pretty cool. All right, I think Eve wanted to say something.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted you to zoom on the crystal was basically in comparison to Wolf's crystal, when you take the outer edges, if you want to call it that are on the bottom, and you follow the line up to the top of the crystal. It's actually more or less a line, even though I'm not sure if you didn't have done those with rulers or by freehand drawing of the crystal, but basically the length and the edges are matching, so that the tip of the crystal is basically in the continuation of those two bottom sides, which makes those, if you follow it up, it's to the top. It's basically a continuation.
Triangle.
A triangle, and it makes it let's say more appealing to the eye.
Aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Oh,
Comparison to Wolf's, which is longer, and then the middle part just sticks out in a wrong way. So when you watch it, you kind of think maybe something is wrong with it because it's too long. But here, it kind of has the perfect length, so it indicates the form of a triangle.
Good point. Good eye.
all
And I
right,
know Chelsea
well,
did that on
thank you.
purpose.
Absolutely not.
At least she's
I was
honest.
just trying to draw the right shape, and it happened like that. But I'm going to move on to the second one I have now, which is more of a battle.
I love it.
Not real heavy armor, but something easy to move in, and it gives her a little protection. And here, once again, Wolf and I were talking, and he mentioned a gauntlet type thing, so I gave her that whole arm wrist type thing I have over here. And I actually have two color options I did for this one, mostly because I didn't know what to do at first, and then I adjusted it to one I like more. But this is the first one that happened, and that's where I threw in the pink that Wolf and I had been talking about, keeping that with her.
I like the little hint of pink as opposed to most of her outfit being pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
otherwise
didn't
it's
want her to
really-
be in like all pink all the time, so I made it something smaller. And then this is the second option, which I like a little better personally.
I personally like the first one more.
Wait, go
but
back to the first one. Let me compare.
I don't
Yeah, I
know
like the
why.
first one.
Yeah, first one.
Yeah, first one.
Yeah, well,
I like the
this
second one
had
though.
This one has a little bit more contrast to it.
That might be why.
Really well done. Does anybody in the panels section have any questions or comments?
Nope, doesn't seem like it.
Okay. Chelsea, girl, I'm proud of you.
Her
And I
stone,
have
her stone
one
could be
more, too,
longer.
after
That
this.
would be my only comment.
Smart aleck.
Chelsea,
and
I
then
do
the
have
last
one
one. What?
I do have one question about your drawings.
Yes.
Why you're not making a living doing this?
Because I'm still learning to do this. This all just happened when I started working on these.
Well, continue.
And then the last one, which I didn't really know what I was doing, and both Dad and Sydney mentioned it looked superhero-ish. Because I was just kind of messing around.
That's the pose. That's a very superhero pose.
The pose with like the
Nice.
flowing cape-like thing and the belt is just very superhero-esque.
It's very windy.
Yeah. I was doing that to try and work on getting something that wasn't always up for her hair, so I just let it go loose.
I have to
Flowy
give it.
hair, yeah.
What if that happened when some magical thing happened when her stone was affecting like the queen and the pet or something? Just a thought.
And her hair could come loose and
Her
messy.
what? Her hair? What?
Because her hair is in like corner rolls up top.
Oh, her could come loose. I see.
Well,
You're right. I just meant. All right.
During the course of her going through the challenges, I could see her hair coming loose by the time she gets to fight the hive creatures. She might start off all really well together, but she might be a little beat up and bedraggled by the time she gets to the Queen's chamber. I love the stance on this. We
Thank
really
you.
definitely
This is the one.
Especially
This one I
after she
wanted to
falls
do that
into the desert.
glowing effect that Wolf had in the comic page, the one that was on the bottom left.
That's what I was saying. Wind and the glowing thing, and I don't know.
Like magic is being utilized.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I love the idea of making her more disheveled as she goes through the quest, because it will make it more realistic. And I wanted to give you a compliment. I don't know if it's because I've been griping at you, like, hey, can you draw more fusion style like? Can you do more angular like? You're really capturing your own style. It is more angular, but it's you, and it looks beautiful. Proud of you. That's all I have to say about that. You're quite. I'll never say it again, okay?
And then I don't have anything else to show, but I was thinking for anybody that is maybe new to the class or just wanted to work on the stuff and they don't
I
draw
can hear you.
figures quite as often. Wolf had asked me while I was working on these, and I sent him like the base images of what I started for like these other two here.
Uh-huh.
It was just the down and dirty. I bet you I have it here real quick. Let me see if I can pull it up.
While you're saying that, I have
use
a
as a
thread on
mannequin.
3D Buzz of
Yeah.
body bases, and you could post them on there so everyone can find them.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to bring up too. I knew you had that, cannot find it because the forums are kind of
Disheveled.
everywhere. But like this, I have a based body for that one and that one, and if anybody like wanted the line work or something more like those base forms, I could put them up somewhere, or people could contact me through my email and I could send them to them however they want to do it.
That's a great idea.
But yeah, with forums, I knew they were there, but I can't find them. I don't know which
I'll
one it is.
link them to you.
Yeah,
sometime.
well, thing too is if somebody wanted to find them, that needs to be easier to find.
Mr.
If I
Nelson,
post
any
them in there,
ideas?
it's not going to be a good idea. It's not going to do them any good if they can't find them either.
Right.
Well, it should be right in the community forums under MMO design. And then you look for my name.
Chelsea, I Facebooked you the link, but yeah, it's right there in MMO design, like 3 or 4 from the top.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
I'm
thank
proud
you.
of you, Chelsea.
But yeah,
So you think
that's all
long
I
and
have
hard
for
about
now.
doing those pages, okay? Long and hard.
Sure.
Sure as you're thinking about it, sure as you're willing to do it.
Not do it. Think about it.
I've heard it both ways. Okay. Well, well done. Proud of you. Hey, Mr. Nelson, if you can bring the new guy in real quick.
Mr. Clinton?
Yes,
Okay.
CWD NAC.
that's Clinton.
Okay.
Alrighty, he's in.
How you doing, sir? I'm doing great. I love cigars. Just call me Miss Clinton.
Well, he's in.
Do you have a microphone, Mr. Clinton? Well, poop on a cracker.
He says yes,
And that is not a bad word.
but it might be muted on his end. But it isn't muted on our end.
Okay. Tell you what, we will come back to him then, see if we can't sort him out. Sid, show us what you got, girl. Oh, me.
Everyone's beaten me this week. I've done little.
Well, I know you've been busy at 3D Buzz Place, you know, playing Xbox and watching videos and, you know, petting the dog. I'm sure you're maintaining Meta as well, helping her out. She twisted her ankle, poor girl.
She's handling it all right.
She got her clutch. Screw her. I'm teasing. Can you take her screen, Mr. Nelson?
Mm-hmm.
I was working on the comic page, and I got 2 panels done, and I decided I hated them, so I trashed them.
Girl.
And I'm working on one, but I don't really feel like showing it, because I'm still not sure how I feel about it. So, yeah.
We'll hardly laugh at you at all.
Hardly laugh at me at all. I
Sid,
don't.
do you like cheese? Do you like cheese? Like, or you like a pepper jack person or an American cheese person? Because you need some cheese with that freaking wine, girl. I'm just saying.
They say
Show
you're
us what you
whining.
got. Yeah, whining.
Too bad. I was gonna work on that webby armor Ray was talking about, and I started it, and I obviously went in a different direction because this was supposed to be it. But I guess this is kind of. I have ADD, I swear.
Man, you
Yeah,
could.
I looked at this and thought, great armor. It's spooky.
Yeah,
And it
it's
is.
a
She reminds me of like a
ghosty
banshee.
concept.
Yeah.
She could be good, she could be bad. I figured, you know, some old Lethean spirit, maybe, for game level, possibly.
I like that. I'm going to draw something and I will make sure it fits in. I've done that too, so I'm just as guilty. Very guilty.
Did her stone explode into shards around her
Yeah, I
neck?
kind of pictured it as, like, all those little bits are kind of floating around it.
Oh.
Still staying
Nice.
with her, but they're not on her physically.
I love the dead eyes. She looks spooky and beautiful and alluring all at the same time.
Cool, cool.
Now, is she burnt on the side?
I don't know. I was just trying to make
You're not
her
supposed to say
more
that. Dead skin.
creepier.
Dead skin.
Dead skin. Okay.
Well done.
She's
'cause
rotting.
That's what I was thinking.
Ooh,
Well done.
Zombie.
Lethean zombies, yeah.
Or a necromancer?
Ooh.
Everybody, ooh.
Wow. Got it. My words had so much power.
Amen. That's a damn good idea. All right, what else you got for us today, girl?
Well, as everyone's been talking, because I didn't get that armor done, I've been working on it right now, and I'm not done yet, but the whole idea of the webby armor with the stones.
Yeah, that's great.
I know a
Cool,
couple
cool.
dancers that wore stuff like
You say
that.
that's like fishnet. That's working for you.
I'm working on it, okay?
I like it. I really like it. It's a good dynamic pose. I love the attention to detail. Really well done.
Thank you. That's pretty much it.
It will be a
Olympian
pain in the butt.
Spider-Woman.
Spider-Woman. Necromancers and superheroes.
You know, I'd really like to see in this armor, if you would do it. Make it a red, like V-shape, all else black, like a Black Widow's outfit.
Oh.
Maybe that's too superhero-ish.
Is this supposed to be like chainmail? 'Cause
Kind of,
fairy
that's kind of what I was
form-
thinking.
is extremely form-fitting.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have any bulk to it.
It's a
Well,
net.
that's what Ray was saying.
That's the point. Each one of these little stones at the intersections of the netting creates a force field under control of the soul stone, so they don't need heavy armor if they have the capacity to control that many stones at once. Not everyone can.
Oh, that's a magic webbing?
It's also very expensive, but it's form-fitting, it's light, and it's almost invulnerable.
It's
Is that,
Like
is that a,
all these little dots. Whoa, that's
are
not-
stones?
Yeah,
Are
those are
stones.
supposed to be stones.
And that's a,
It'll look better when I color it and help.
and that's
try and get that.
magic force field in between them?
No, that's...
It's like the stones are netted together, but once the person's attacked, they'll
okay.
create that.
Okay, so that is a material, but it, okay.
Yeah.
It's like fishnet or lace.
Yeah.
Very light, very form-fitting, but when
Sorry.
soul stone tells those little stones to turn on, it becomes an invulnerable force field.
Yeah, got it. Magic component.
Yeah.
And magically delicious.
That one dude thinks his mic works now.
Okay, let's bring him in real quick. Mr. Clinton, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
We can.
And yay!
Sid, great job. Do you have anything else before we pick on Mr. Clinton?
Not really. I have a panel, but I'm not so sure how I feel about it.
Well, why don't you put it up and we'll tell you how you should feel about it.
It's not done yet.
Be quiet. I like it.
And I was going to get rid of some of the details on this because this is a statue.
Very nice.
There's so much more detail there than some of my things that I tell everybody are done.
I love the Alethians, how they're all posed differently, interlocking arms and just kind of sitting around.
Yeah, this is the classroom where the teacher on the right is telling the children about Lady Claron, the first Alethian to ever bond with the stone, and that's a statue of her.
Why are they looking at her back? No, I'm sorry.
Because I wanted you to be able to see her.
Yeah, to see it. I understand.
You know
It's
what to
terrible.
do, Sid, in all honesty, to get around that is in the foreground, a three-quarter shot of the back of a head, so you see is an ear and part of the jawline.
Yeah, I figured I would do something in, if not both of the corners, then maybe
Yeah.
like this one, because this is cinched over here, so you want to be able to see her. But
Definitely.
I figured that they were in kind of like a high platform that was circular that surrounded the statue
Nice.
because it's kind of like a city monument thing.
I'm proud of you.
Through the shoulder of a couple of the kids.
Because she's standing on this crystal pedestal. Did you think maybe of trying to make her look more like crystal, if it makes any sense? For example, making...
I actually kind of pictured her being kind of crystal-esque, but like I had a discussion with Wolf, and I'm gonna get rid of like some of the lines so it looks, you know, more like it was molded than a human thing. And however he wants to color it, he can do.
yeah, like it's hard to explain, but basically to follow kind of the human shape, but in more angular ways, to have this kind of crystal feel. If you take the lines away, for example, you don't have to take all of them kind of away, but think maybe how, if it's made out of crystal, how the
Much more
sculpture,
angular.
how the sculptor was actually sculpting it out of maybe a crystal, and it has all those kind of ridges and edges that supposed to symbolize that she's clothed. Even though you don't have basically the lines for the clothing, but you have the lines that are made by the chisel or whatever the workers used to make that statue.
Yeah, because I've never really, drawn anything like that. It was just easier for me to just full out
Yeah.
do it in detail, like it's real first, and then go back and kind of
That's
take
good.
away what was needed.
The other thing that I was concerned about is the clothing things. They look cool, but they're very thin, and that if it was going to be something like a bronze statue or something, that would look like something that's going to break off very easily.
Well, I imagined, I don't know how well you can really tell, but I figured that statue is a little bit bigger than a full-grown Alethean, and with it being larger, even though the pieces are thin, it's not as thin as it would actually, be if it was real
And
fabric.
even add
so
some
it's a little
shadows
easier.
or some.
I saw it and kind of assumed it was a hologram.
Huh.
Ooh, that's a cool idea.
New thought.
Transparent.
that make it transparent, and the two kids behind her, you can kind of ghost them through. It's a damn good idea. I'm glad I thought of it.
Good work, Derek.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I try.
Thank God I'll be moving to the Carolinas next week so that I can be that close to that kind of genius.
I know, right? Thank you.
So yeah, the crystals around her feet could be projecting her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So she wouldn't need to be, her feet wouldn't need to be on there. They could be like covering.
Well, I kind of imagine that she's kind of, imagine this as I was imagining her as a statue, that she was kind of supposed to be floating a little bit with all those stones sticking up. That's how they would connect her and form it and anything. But if it's a hologram, dang, we can totally change it. But I picture her floating.
It's a magic-gram, not a hologram.
Magic-gram.
It'll be a bit of a challenge to Wolf to do the light and shading so that it's clear that is a hologram that's being projected from the stones at her feet. But if you can do it, it's a knockout visual.
Well, I'll play
It'll
around
just
and
be in
see.
spot black.
Shut
I'll
up.
take care of that.
I'll play around and see if I can make any lines to kind of make it look, very slightly kind of glitchy. How people kind of
Real
picture
quick.
holograms and
Steve knows
stuff.
what I'm talking about. Go.
Real quick, what I want to do is I want to ask Mr. Clinton. He's the newest team member, and he's a fresh perspective. Mr. Clinton, what do you think?
I really like the idea of the hologram, and the only thing I envisioned when it was still a statue was that maybe like flipping the scene around so that like the class was looking at her from the front, and so the class would be in the foreground, the statue would be more in the background. But you could maybe do both of those with the hologram, but I know that would probably be a lot more work. But I do really like the hologram idea, and I agree it would be cool if maybe she was floating a bit more up in the air if we are going with a hologram.
Sid's like, crap. It's a good
Maybe-
idea.
Oh, I like that
maybe she
idea. I wanted her
maybe
floaty.
Maybe she spins around, so
Ooh,
no matter where
yeah.
they're at, they're going to be able to see her from each side.
And if she's about closer to a 3/4 in this view, and there's some indication of movement, that would do it.
All right.
Well done, team. Way to dissect. Mr. Clinton, do you have any work you want to show us tonight?
No. I didn't prepare anything.
Get the hell out of here. I'm teasing. All right, let me. Yeah.
Order.
Hell's not a bad word. It's in the Bible, and so is ass.
50 cents, 75 cents. You owe me a lot of money.
I'm just saying. Question: if you're riding on a donkey and someone throws a rock at you and knocks you off, are you stoned off your ass? I'm just wondering. But seriously, Mr. Clinton, what is your forte? What do you feel comfortable with doing? And what talents and what can you bring to our art table here?
Well, I'm still just getting started, and most of what I've done is line work. Like while you've been talking, I've been working on the homework this week for drawing 103, working on the elf head. So that's most of what I've done so far. But I'd be willing to try just about any of the things you listed off real quick, the inking or the lining or coloring, whatever. But I don't really have any experience with any of them.
That's all right. This is what we're here for. And I'm a firm believer. You ever watch Fight Club?
No.
Well, a movie will change your life. The whole premise, one of the scenes, everyone's ready to fight, and Tyler Durden's going through the rules, and he says, if this is your first night at Fight Club, you have to fight tonight. So I'm a firm believer we're going to throw you in the deep end, and you're going to learn to sink or swim, and I believe with all the help that you have here and we'll give you, we're going to make sure that you succeed. We'll find you a place that you feel comfortable with. And I want you to flourish. I want you to grow as an artist and ask me questions. Everybody here has been so great to give their time, and it just makes me really happy. Like Wolf is talking to Sid and then Chelsea, and we're working on coloring. It's one heck of a great team. Notice I said heck, Steve, not HE double toothpicks.
Oh, I was watching.
It's a sawed off. All right, we're gonna hit you under Sid's allotment of character designs, because we'll do a lot of line work like that. Will that be good with you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. I can't wait to see your homework either. Speaking of that, I'll just give a plug to the Drawing 103 class. It's a fantasy art class. Last week we learned to draw like this manga elf head and then this orc body. Coming up, we're going to be learning how to draw a beautiful, hot-looking fairy with wings. We're going to be talking about doing background stuff and possibly some shadowing as well. I want to add that. We have a lot of great stuff, and I encourage everybody here from the MMO class to attend that as well, because it's only going to make you much more sharp to get your renderings down and convey your ideas for everybody here on the art team. So there's my shameless plug.
Hey, Derek, Angel on the forums would also like to show something.
Please. All right, Mr. Nelson, can you take Angel's screen?
Could you raise your hand, please? So it's easier for me to click on you. Ah, it's Miguel.
Miguel!
Miguel!
We all say, it's like Norm from Cheers. Miguel!
Norm.
Norm!
I think I screwed it up.
Eric,
How you doing, buddy?
fine. Glad to not being the newest guy anymore.
All right, you can pick on Mr. Clinton. We have to give Mr. Clinton a hazing. I need you to find me some invisible whiteout, please.
What?
I'll work on that.
Okay, that's my hazing ritual thing. Can you take Mr. Miguel's screen? You got some work to show for us today, buddy?
Yeah, I only have one thing to show.
Still there?
So it anyway.
Oh, sorry, could you repeat that when I switched over to your screen, it interrupted you.
Oh, okay. No, I just have this image to show. That is all that I could do today.
Dude, nice.
All right.
I was thinking about maybe an armor, a human armor worn by an Elysian.
I really love your lighting source you got going on there. That is really sharp.
I'm picturing this guy underwater.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Well, I was thinking on space mostly. But it could work as well.
I really like that. Tell me about your process. How did you go about doing this? What was your idea and how did you think of it?
Well, as I told you, I was thinking if there's going to be an interaction with humans, well, obviously there will be a situation where maybe an Elysian will wear a human armor, or well, more like adapted to their body because it's different.
Kind of like Wookiees. The Empire didn't make seats to fit Wookiees, so you just have to do what you got to do. I'm geeking out on you. I really love the lighting source that you have going on. Now, did you do all the blacks and the heavy darks first and go in with an eraser tool to do that?
No, first actually I color it all like the flat color, and then with Photoshop I put the light sources and throw the shadows in.
Really a good job. I like it. Mr. Miguel, you are growing leaps and bounds in just like a couple of weeks.
Can I say something here? I got kind of an interesting idea. Like, that maybe instead of always having to put on armor in pieces and fasten it and stuff, if it was something that they could just like magically form around them, which I think, remember the
Flame
first
on.
Tron,
Kind of like
the first,
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
yeah, in a way.
It could work like that.
I was thinking, like, like in the first Tron movie, where they would hold that little like light bar thing, and then they would do something with it, and it would form that light bike around them.
It's funny that you say that,
arm.
because I was watching the Tron cartoon, the newest one today. That's listened to most of it. And can you take my screen, Mr. Nelson?
That's a possibility.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Swishy Pants. Okay, the reason why I say it's funny you talk about Tron is because for the bad guy, I wanted to give 3 different looks. Let me get my little pointer here. Right, first look here, just kind of like a thug looking. I like the eye patch. I dig eye patches. However, I'm grateful I have 2 working eyeballs, don't get me wrong. Broad chest, pieced together armor like we talked about. And then this is more the medieval type look. Big sword, just a half cape flowing through here. And this is my Tron look. I was really inspired by what Sid was doing with that pieced together, beautiful looking armor, space looking, for a futuristic look. But this whole face plate is what I got from Tron today, some of the programs.
Yeah, it looks Alethean.
So
The head.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know how far futuristic we want to push it, but I actually like this one the best. However, saying that, if we're going to have Cynthia fight a villain, nothing says villain like an eye patch, because we can get some really good facial expressions when he gets his ass kicked. And that's not a bad word.
As far as
one best, I like all of the clothing outward the students have done better. Sorry.
For me, I would like something in between that kind of futuristic look and a more traditional medieval look. Just something that kind of
Blends
has a feel of both of them, but it's neither.
I can dig that, and I understand. I think that's the direction we need to go. Mr. Ray, what are your thoughts?
Well, what I imagined was more like the first guy on the left. This is a hardened criminal. He's an assassin. He's probably about 50 years old. He has to kill her or die himself, and they're fighting with essentially quarterstaffs. But he has the blog beast on his side, so he's got to try to knock her off her feet and put the beast on her, and that's how he's going to win. I don't think someone fighting like that would have a cape. It's too easy to get caught and get yourself killed. And I don't think someone like that would have a full suit of armor either.
Okay. No, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I also think I remember when I first showed the your image plane drawings, but with the hair, and Ray said, "Oh, that'd actually be good for this guy." I agree with that. I think that would be kind of neat if it resembled that with the the point, how you had the pointy things on the top of the head, the kind of armory, like
a stegosaurus.
Yeah, but and then that kind of hairstyle for him. I think that would be cool.
All right, well, I'll definitely rework it. And I agree with Mr. Steve, as much as it pains me to say. I do love the girls. Their clothing is beautiful, and there's a lot of thought. Steve gives me a lot of crap because a lot of my card artwork, he calls them taped boobies.
That's what they are.
I know what he's talking about.
I'm making card
It's
art
not
for
calling them anything. It's saying what they are.
I'm making card art for prepubescent teens. Like, ooh, they're hot. Ooh, I like tape movies.
I'm totally making you redo that one.
Well, yeah. As soon as you come down to North Carolina, we'll talk. No, but no, it's good because you girls, everyone here has really inspired me a lot. But just again, breathtaking your ideas to close. I don't want to say I'm locked into like, we have to have bulky armor and this. In isolation, it's hard to grow. I think one way, you guys think the other way, and there's nothing wrong with it. But after seeing what you guys have done, it's cool to collaborate. That's the only dangerous part being freelance, and Steve will soon learn. That's why we have to have these meetings and collaborate and work together. So I totally agree with you, Mr. Steve. I will think outside my comfort box and try to stay away from the cheesecake, hottie bodies, and booby tape.
I do also agree with Wolf on the male side. If you had something a little bit more like the first one, but if it were incorporating that Ray's kind of net armor idea to give it a futuristic edge, then I think you'd really be onto something.
Okay. I like that idea.
Another kind of armor we discussed last week was inspired by reptile scales, but made from super strong materials that are created by the crystals. But, those kind of semi-triangular teardrop shaped pieces that slide over each other, I think that could look pretty cool. Like that someone's encased in snakeskin.
Yeah, like a crystal and carbon fiber.
Yeah.
I think he should be more gladiator-like. I don't think he should be too super. I mean, they have to kind of expect that Sencha has a hope of winning this, so he shouldn't be the ultimate fighter of,
Or ultimate armor.
or ultimate armor. He should be vulnerable, and but he should be a challenge. But
and as far as the comic book, this guy's a criminal. They're not going to hand him a pile of kick butt armor.
Right.
But this particular person, no. I was thinking for other people, not for him. Yeah. You're exactly right. It's more a gladiator situation.
Okay. I'll rework it, try to do at least 3 more looks for next class. Well, that said, I really need a 5-minute break, and we come back. We're going to, and I'll show you the, oops, that was not what I wanted to show. We'll talk about, I will show you that eventually, but some spot black ideas that we're going to start talking about humans, their technology, where they're at, where they're going, what they're going to have mechs, what they will look like. And Steve came up with a really good idea of kind of a 70s sort of sci-fi vibe with marrying steampunk to it. And we talked about that today, and I love that idea. So I'm planning that idea in your head, and we'll come back in 5 minutes and we'll start discussing that. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Here's truly Derek T. Stevens sitting next to Mr. Nelly's Squishy Pants. We got the entire pretty much art team. Newest member, Mr. Clinton. I'm glad that you're here, Miguel. You're doing a great job. Again, hardcore people working on a huge dream. I hope that everybody else who's listening to this right now will Facebook me, Derek Stevens, or they'll give me a PM, thecrow@3dbuzz.com. We can always use more artists with visions and ideas. It doesn't matter if you can draw stick figures, as long as you can convey your idea. We're quickly getting a stable of great people who can draw just about anything. So with that said, we've visited the Alethians. We have a pretty good idea of what the environment's going to look like. We've definitely nailed what they're going to look like. And they've come a long way from the very start of all this with the hinged legs. And we weren't for sure about what weaponry they're going to use in the armor. I want to tip my hat to Mr. Ray, brilliant story. I want to tip my hat to Wolf, to Steve, to Sid, maybe not so much Chelsea, but I will say Chelsea. And I know there's a couple people I'm leaving out. You guys have done a fabulous job with bringing this world to life. So with that said, I want to throw out another challenge and kind of switch things up. Because I really believe that we're almost to the point now where we need a development team to come in and say, okay, this can work, this will not work. I like this idea, and let's tweak this around. I think we have a very good baseline right now to get the development team to start working with the Aletheans. So I want to switch gears so we can visit the humans, what they may or may not look like, what the technology level is. And I also believe this will give us a fresh perspective to the Aletheans once we come back to revisit them. So what I did real quick, I'm thinking humans, I'm thinking high tech. I start drawing mechs. And I know this is Sid and Chelsea's favorite idea of Spot Blacks and Wolf. I'm about to turn another quarter because what I want to say to you in your Spot Black idea from before. But these are really easy to do. I mean, this took about all of 7 minutes to do for ideas. Even if this little dude right here, like, I'm a little bitty guy, I'm going to jump into this and drill stuff down here. I don't know what we want the humans to look like, so I'm just going to throw some stuff that I've done. Big cargo-like vehicle that can troop transport or whatever. More, I guess, like our cars and human scale. So I'm just throwing a lot of different ideas, a lot of mech warrior looking ideas too. I don't know if that's what we want to bring to the table, but they're here. Like I said, just kind of throwing out some ideas for human armor, what they can look like. Now, I did this before. Steve and I got the chance to talk. He liked the idea, and so do I, of kind of marrying a 70s sci-fi theme with steampunk. And I really like that idea. I'm digging it, and I didn't, unfortunately, have any time to draw anything up for that idea, but let's see what else do I have here. Different human looks, kind of Nazi looking, and, you know, space gems, blah, blah, blah.
And for anybody out there who's going, what the heck do they mean by 70s sci-fi look? Look up pictures of book covers for like Robert Heinlein and things like that, and you'll see the kind of style of that time.
You mean the kind of Perry Rhodan books or something like that?
Wow, she nailed me right to a wall, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. Way to go, Eve.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, let me Google that name. How do you spell it? And I'll let you know. Man, she just really nailed you where it counts.
Are you thinking like Buck Rogers kind of thing?
Yeah, I think.
No, that's 40s. That's not.
Yeah, not really Buck Rogers. Heinlein is the big one that comes to mind, like his Chronicle of Mars series. If you look at some of the.
Can you find a picture or two or Google it, and then we'll take the screen?
I'll see what I can find here. Give me a minute.
All right, cool.
Star Wars took place in the 70s. Just saying. Battlestar Galactica, the first one.
I will rip your midichlorians out of your throat. Hey, so Mr. Ray, you have some ideas already about the human story. Why don't you share that while Mr. Steve's looking?
Okay, something that I've been talking to Richard Gamble about, and Nitro also, he probably doesn't even know it, he contributed an idea because he...
I love NATO.
No, Nitro.
I love him too. Damn it.
Two different people.
I obviously am, yeah. I have cough medicine in me now. I'm sorry. I'm a bit... Go ahead.
But
Hey, he
Nitro,
loves who he loves, man.
Yeah.
Nitro made the point that they wouldn't be sending out a manned ship at first. They'd be sending out probes. So the idea is that Earth finds itself in this fix where the magnetic shield against radiation is beginning to go down, and they've got to find another place to live or they're all going to fry and nothing is going to be left on the planet but cockroaches, because they can stand the radiation and not much else can. So they send out, well, let's say 100 or 200 probes to stars that appear to have the possibility maybe human life could exist there. And my thought is that only 2 of them pan out. And so they send a manned scout to each of those, one of which is Aletheia. The other one we might want to bring into the story later on if they find yet a third civilization there. But we just have it in the story that Aletheia is one of the only 2, and they now have a manned scout out there. So that's one part of the story, and this is taking place about 200 years from now. So whatever our technology might look like a couple of hundred years from now.
Well, that's scary in itself, because right now technology isn't like quadrupling at least every year.
Yes, so it's going to be pretty damn futuristic.
Why we might even be on the moon by then.
Because we've never been on the moon in the first place. I'm a firm believer in that, but we'll talk about
Don't get him
conspiracy.
going.
Not in a while, anyway.
Van Allen belts can't do the radiation. That's all I got to say. Go, Mr. Ray.
Okay, there's a second line to that, which I think we could make, if we get the Alethian comic book going, we can come in with an Earth comic book that's not parallel, but is going to converge. And this was part of the thought from Richard, and that is that there still are on Earth some of Earth's crystals, not very many, but the Alethians didn't get all of them. And there are people on Earth who, in a very garbled way, still remember the lore of the sky people and their magic and their stones. And one particular stone, which had a big part to play in the end of the Harry Potter series, but is something of real legend, is the Philosopher's Stone.
Dude, I was so thinking that. Awesome.
And the Philosopher's Stone gives you very long life, just like the Source Stone, the very original stone on Aletheia, gave those people very long lives. And so we have a handful of folks that have kept their hands on the Philosopher's Stone, and a couple of others who have been desperately looking for a way for humans to mate up with stones the way the sky people did. And they find this girl that the stones seem to vibrate when she's around. And they kidnap her and they force her to bond with the stone. And she becomes the first earthling to ever bond with the stone. The stone senses the danger she's in from these people and blows her out. Just, she doesn't know what the hell's going on, but the stone just knocks down walls, gets her the hell out of this place, and she's now out on her own, no idea what's going on, completely thinks maybe she's going crazy. And at some point in that process, because she has an Earth analog to the Source Stone that we now know Cynthia has. She has the original stone. That's why it's so weird. She doesn't have one of the lesser stones. Somehow they link. Neither one of them knows what the hell's going on, and they think that they're having bad dreams. We, the audience, we know that they have linked, and we can begin to see the trajectory where they'll ultimately come together when the two societies clash. That's as far as I've gotten with the idea, but I'm open to comments and so on. And I also want to congratulate Nitro on one other thing. My challenge last week, he's the only person who did come up with an answer, and it was a wonderful one. The way that Alethians create their the things they create is using an array of stones that works very much like our 3D printing. That's how they create their artifacts. And that was a Nitro idea, and I want to give him credit for that. I think it's
that
awesome.
was brilliant.
So anyway,
Well, Nitro's in here, isn't he? Can we get Nitro
he
on
was
the line?
earlier. He was earlier. I don't. Yeah, he's still here. Nitro 52. Yeah.
Nitro, can we bring you on?
Go ahead and raise your hand.
Says sure.
Yeah, go ahead and raise your hand, please. All right.
Hello, Nitro. Are you there? I'm hearing something, but not sure what it is. Are you there, Nitro?
Beeping.
It sounds like someone's strangling a chipmunk. Nitro,
Anybody
you-
speak chipmunk here? Okay, we got one person. Anybody else speak chipmunk?
Nitro's gonna hate all of us.
That's what you are. I don't even know how that happens.
I'm not. Maybe try unplugging your headsets again. Maybe. Can you hear us now?
Guys?
Nitro's a robot.
Oh my God, he is. Our things, you will all die. Bow to me, I am Nitro. Eve, what were you trying to say, love?
I was just wanting to say that I'm probably going to log off now because I got work in the morning. Well, it is morning over here, but
She's working an hour.
Right, girl. I'm proud of you.
I left the picture of the Perry Roden stuff, so as a link if you want to look at it, if it's something that you meant with
Oh, yeah.
sci-fi.
Yeah, I'll go take a look at that. And I'm pulling
Okay.
together some images here.
Right,
Yeah,
cool.
and I'm going to check on the rest of the stuff that you did later on when the video is posted.
Sweet.
So yeah, wish you all a good night.
You have a good night.
Right.
Good morning, everyone.
Bye.
Danke, mein Liebs. Good Albans.
Guten Abend.
I love Eve. She's awesome. All right, Mr. Nitro, are you there? One more time.
Little chipmunk.
Killing me.
All right. Oh, man. Wow. I don't know if it's a cough medicine. Okay, obviously I'm not the only one hearing that. But we'll try to come back to you, Mr. Nitro. I do want to hear from you. You have some brilliant ideas. I've seen you in the forums before, and I know you got a lot going on, and I want to hear and share this right now. I swear to you, you may not be able to hear it, but you sound like a chipmunk.
He said he's going to try to reconnect here.
Okay, cool. Let's take Mr. Steve's screen. Are you ready, Steve?
Not quite. Yak for a few minutes here.
All right, so what are you guys thinking about tech level? Because, I mean, I got some big ass mechs. That's not a bad word.
Well,
And
I love the mechs, but and you know maybe they work, but it's kind of
overdone?
What?
Is it overdone?
Well, I'm just wondering for the game, you know, like, do we want that? I mean, you can imagine a human and a mech fighting an Alethean, you know, and medieval armor and stuff, you know. But
You got
I mean,
to throw it out. It's not medieval.
in Avatar.
It's magic.
What?
It's not medieval. It's magic, and that's the thing we all have to get, I guess, past.
I mean, in Avatar, they showed ways of dealing with that. So I mean, and they didn't have the magic part. So so you know, I mean, maybe it's okay. But are people going to want to like look at their mechs as they're walking around and controlling mechs, or do they want to be, you know, people? You know,
That's
like
a very good point.
in most games you're playing as your character and you add things to your character, but do they want to? I mean, usually vehicles are to get to, or mounts or whatever are to get from point A to point B, but faster. But they don't tend to actually battle on them.
That's true.
And
We'd also use these for PCs, NPCs, non-playing characters, where the Aletheans are like infiltrating X, Y, and Z, and they come across some human mechs.
Yeah, that would be good. But
I like your idea. That's a really good and valid point, because I didn't think about that. I'm like, oh, cool technology. Let's do this.
Right.
But you're right. I don't want to walk around in a robot suit. I mean, that's just me, because I want my avatar to be personalized. That's a very good point.
Right, and it's like, okay, so are you going to be upgrading your mech and not your character, or, you know, it's like, how is that, you know, it kind of gets a little bit complicated. I mean, which
no, great, very
very
good points.
But yeah, for NPCs, that would be cool to fight against them. I think that would definitely be something there.
Or even maybe in PvP, certain arenas where humans would be able to snag a couple of those things, and we can come up with something with the Alethians that there's some big war monster that they're on that can fight. That might be a good idea as
Right,
well.
the mounts and yeah, there could be a. It's like for games that are like first-person shooters or something. There some of them they have they have modes where you can use vehicles and modes where you can't use vehicles. So
Right.
it'd be that kind of thing.
Maybe what you could also do is take the mech idea, but scale it down so it's almost more like a power suit, where it's still on a more human scale, and you might be able to see more of the humanness nature, but then you have certain parts of these mech kind of ideas that we've seen in these images, but applied onto a much smaller scale.
Yeah, power suits are good. I mean, that's just basically human armor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's a good idea. What do you think, Mr. Ray?
I like it being more human scale, but you know, as Wolf was pointing out, to have mechs as computer-driven opponents is cool. But yeah, this is a better scale of what you're showing right now, I think. That kind of technology. And of course, we're 200 years from now, we should have all kinds of maglev stuff, anti-gravity stuff. We might even have some biological stuff. I was thinking a little bit, I don't know how many people have been Dune fans, but you know,
Spice.
The suits that they had, and then ultimately the one character actually created a skin for himself out of one of the sandworm's children. There's some interesting things that could go there. We're doing a lot of our technology with biotechnology. So
yes, we are.
We might be able to go that direction too. I haven't really thought through this very much. I just think what we want to do, unless we want to do something like steampunk, you know, very stylized, which is fine. But if we want to actually extrapolate from today's technology, we should look at the most cutting edge stuff we have going on now and assume that that's commonplace 200 years from now.
Well, here's an idea I just had. I think you could kind of marry the kind of steampunk vibe with the high tech vibe, and I think that it might be kind of class. It might be kind of not as in upper class or whatever. You know, it's like, can you afford the really good stuff? If not, you kind of do the hand-me-downs, makeshift steampunk.
You drive a Lamborghini or a Pinto.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like people who are just you know, scrounging, trying to get things to work, and instead of there'd be more building their own kind of stuff, and then the people who have the real nice stuff would have like the super electronic nanobot suit or something like that.
Well, one thing we have to remember is what you're discussing would be perfectly fine for a comic that took place on Earth, but the game is going to be whatever the Earth people brought with them to Alethea. So I suppose we could try and figure out how some of those people were going to be cobbling stuff together out of cast-off technology. But
so I don't see them doing that. I picture the military, the governments sending out military personnel with heavy firepower to secure land.
It's going to be a combination of military and settlers, and the settlers are going to come with what they need to set up home here on Alethea. So I don't think it would be second-rate stuff or really used stuff, at least certainly not at first. But again, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking that the game would start after they've been humans have been at Alethea for a while, and I would think that, yeah, the military would be one of the ones that have the best stuff, and then other people would kind of adapt their own. Especially, like, do you live in the main, one of the main cities or something, or do you live in the outskirts? And
Real
I
quick,
think
let's
I
ask
would add more color anyway. But
Mr. Clinton or Mr. Miguel, what are your thoughts on this?
I like the wolf's idea because not everyone would have the same opportunity to get fancy weapons, especially if they been in the planet for a very long time. So maybe I think the most low-level weapons could be the ones that the civilians have, or the most lower rank persons would have, and maybe those big mechas you come up with, they'll only be available on the big military bases that are incredibly heavily guarded. That's what I think of how you should divide the high tech and low tech.
I like that. Mr.
And
Steve, are you ready? I'm sorry.
I like the part that you agreed with me.
And historically, the settlers that follow in behind the militaries are extremely resource intensive, and often the settlers that follow in behind them are very poor and have very low quality stuff because
Yeah, maybe a hunter wouldn't have a high tech weapon. Or so.
Another thing I was thinking of is if we go towards trying to extrapolate current technologies. I do a lot of work with 3D printers at the university that I'm studying at right now, and I could see that if you extrapolate the how much 3D printing is exploding into the future, but that could be a major aspect in the humans' lives as well as the Aletheans. But what I see with that as far as differences between the military and your average citizen is you're generally going to see things that are much smaller than the actual, because on 3D printers, your print volume gets really expensive the bigger you get. And then it also might be slightly more ragtag because you don't have as many resources, so you might be swapping materials mid-print. And so it might be, the more civilian level might be a little bit more patched together, but still functional.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, because that's exactly the kind of thing we want to extrapolate. Just like Nitro came up with the idea that the Alethians would use an array of crystals to do the same sort of thing, we are going to use really advanced 3D printing, nanobots, all those kinds of things.
I see almost something between current 3D printing technology and Star Trek's replicators.
Yeah.
I like brain freeze.
I like brain
butts
too. I want a malt.
What's I saying?
Why do you think?
Oh yeah. Firefly, the show Firefly. Like when they're like they're kind of scrounging for pieces to keep their ship going, and I mean it's all high tech, but there's kind of
Well, yeah, the government has the laser beams and
right.
all that stuff, and these guys are using 6-shooters because that's what there is.
Right. Well, yeah, and they're using like for their engine. They were trying to. They keep having to the engineer. She keeps having to come up with ways that, be creative about how to keep the engine running, and so just that kind of vibe.
Real quick, because we're running out of time. Steve, if you're ready, what I want to do is I want you to show some images. Then I want to come back. What I want to do is, because I like the military, and anyway, we're going to start talking about or designing military uniforms. We already know what the humans are look like because we're all humans, 5 or 10 fingers, 10 toes. I want to start getting off, and we'll start talking about the officers class uniforms for them, and we can go down from there. But anyway, what do you have to show? Yes.
Real quick, that far right scout.
Huh?
that is kind of where I'm thinking,
Ah, okay.
along that line. But yeah, bring me up here and I'll pull up some of these book covers.
Mr. Nelson, can you take Steve's screen, please? Thank you, sir. Hold one.
This is that kind of 70s smooth line vibe that I was talking about.
Interesting.
Is that all 70s?
Yeah, most of this stuff is late 60s to early 70s book cover art for Ray Bradbury and Robert Heinlein. Things like the Martian Chronicles and stuff like that. They were very in, if you look down around here, whereas now things are very hard-edged and mechanical, they were very smooth and rounded.
Right. Right. Yeah, I've looked at
I
a
think
lot
if
of
you
stuff.
combine some steampunk aspects with that kind of smooth look, we could have some very original artwork.
That's a really good idea. I like that aspect.
And again, maybe not, but that might be done more on some of the outer, the towns or something, smaller places, outskirts and stuff.
Yeah, I would think the more that you got away from the big military industrial thing, the more scrapped together and steampunk it would start to look.
Right.
I agree. The military is going to be very sterile.
Yep. And real quick, that was kind of what I was talking about for that comic wolf. It's just a grayscale real quick with the backdrop behind the people, something like that.
Yeah.
And did a couple of spot blacks quick while Derek was talking. I did a mech suit with hinged legs just because I knew that would annoy Derek.
You are absolutely right.
And then more of a scout type out in the desert.
Well,
I like your gun.
There does. It kind of makes sense a little bit. I mean, you could do something with with hinge legs because that would allow you to adjust the height of the guy who's in the
Yeah, I would
suit.
picture the guy in the mecha suit being about the same size as the scout guy.
Because maybe it's sometimes then you can reach things and but you can also shrink down so you can fit through doorways or something.
And it'll annoy Derek, which is the number one.
You are right.
I mean, that's all when you're not falling over because of gravity reasons. Other than that,
But yeah, anyway, this
You can do both
kind of gives a rough idea of what I was talking about. If you think of the steampunk stuff out there now, particularly the steampunk artwork where it's less about the old world gears and more about the kind of big bulky lines.
there's a sleekness to it.
Yeah, it's heavy but sleek.
Things are more rounded.
I like this idea. I think we should definitely explore that. And with that said,
Hey,
wait. What? Yes.
Wait. As soon as you said steampunk, I started working because I had the idea because we're doing like medieval armor for Elysians.
Mhm.
And I figure in the game there will probably be times where you can mix armor between human and Elysian pieces. And so I did a sketch of a mix.
Can you take Sid's screen, please, Mr. Nelson?
Maybe.
Ooh, nice. I love that helmet.
Yeah, the helmet's really cool.
Thank you.
Very nice looking helmet. I love your sketch work. Really good.
Thank you. Yeah, but I just figured, kind of the bulky
Yeah.
medieval stuff with the shoulders and kind of the knee and mixed up pieces. And
Yeah, it's a nice combination of the two.
All right, so I'm going to make a
High-tech,
bold
medieval.
move here to say that I really like this idea that Steve and Sid has. and let's see what we can do by running with it. Here's a homework for everybody. I don't even care about environments at this point. I need.
Ouch.
Well, the environment's going to be the Elysian environments for the most part. I mean, we'll get some, for the most part when we're running around. We will need environments for inside ships and inside human cities. But for right now, everyone's job, myself, Steve, everybody, even other character artist, do one officer and one soldier look, combining steampunk together with that smooth sort of look. Okay.
Alrighty.
So as we always end it, last thoughts, Mr. Ray, any?
I like where it's going. I hadn't thought that the game would be after the humans had been there for a fair amount of time. But if that's the case, then yeah, you're going to have some slums and people sort of in the middle and rich people and lots of fighters because they're still fighting each other. So
I think just in terms of gameplay mechanic, them having been there a while will have a lot more rich environments for people to play around in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And history and
yeah, so the comic can give them the history and the gameplay will be after that's been settled in pretty well.
Awesome.
Loving it.
Steve, last thoughts.
I really like the direction we're going in. I'm glad we're going to start working with some of the human stuff. Anybody, despite what Derek says, if they're playing around with armor and, you know, in your head you see some corridors or rooms or whatever, just because we're not really worried about environments right now doesn't mean don't sketch it if you see it. So,
good point. Sid, last thoughts.
Nope.
she hasn't been thinking for 10 minutes now.
Chelsea, last thoughts, girl.
I got nothing either.
Besides that, you're going to be doing those pages. Thank you very much for saying
No,
God and
stop
everybody.
that. Stop that.
Listen, I've heard it both ways. Wolf, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I just that I am not sure this modern stuff is kind of, or actually futuristic stuff is kind of difficult for me. I haven't really done much with that, so.
You know what? That sucks, but it's also good. We're going to make you think outside the box. You've been pushed so far, dude, in this short amount of time, and you're coming so far. And I'll wrap this up here in a second, but Mr. Clinton.
Derek, while we're talking about this kind of blend of stuff, the suit from Crisis combined with some of these old world ideas.
Ooh, yeah, good point.
Really good idea for just some inspiration.
Very good idea. Mr. Clinton, last thoughts.
I don't have too many last thoughts. I've been frantically writing or sketching, doing very rough sketches of ideas before I forget them. But I missed the second part of the homework. You said the officer and what else?
Well, I said an officer for everybody else, but what I needed you, Mr. Clinton, to do is an entire regiment. Each one has to have a different look. I'm teasing, dude. I'm screwing with you. No, one officer and one fighter.
Okay.
Or soldier.
Clinton, you will find it handy to learn swear words in other languages so that you can swear at Derek on tape.
Er ist eine dicke Arschloch, dicke Nase, bist du Schlumpfer. So anybody who speaks German, sorry.
Even though we have international students.
Hey, Eve's gone. She probably won't listen to this part. So, all right.
No, it's a good meeting tonight, guys. You guys brought some really great.
So, Mr. Miguel, do you have any last thoughts?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you already talked about this, but maybe the Elysians about the, well, talking about the weapons or the human machinery, maybe the Elysians could make their own modified versions of their weapons by capturing it. I think that would give more variety to the classes of the weapons you were talking about.
Like the idea, however, the Alethians and the humans work in totally different aspects. The Alethians use, for lack of better words, the magic because they're
Well,
not carbon-based like we are. I'm
so
not sure.
However, basing off that 3D printer idea and ceramic weaponry already being a reality, they could certainly create energy weapons.
yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like they could modify in some way the weapon so they can have different type of ammo or something.
They should have energy weapons before they ever saw an Earthling.
Exactly.
Lasers and so on, that's all quantum level stuff.
They should look at our technology and kind of go, oh, you need ammo? It's so primitive.
Yeah, exactly. So what the Alethians get from their crystals is only limited by the crystal's natural talents, but certainly manipulating light and electromagnetic energy is going to be a talent that they're going to have in spades. So the Alethians should be able to create incredible rail guns using magnetic forces to move metal. They should be able to create microwave beam weapons, sonic beam weapons, laser beam weapons. They should be able to do all of that.
Okay.
Cool. All right. We're going to have a special radio show guest on the 28th. Everything should be working out. She is the head of Shot in the Dark Comics. And the reason I'm telling you guys this before everybody else is I really hope that you guys attend. What time is the radio show, Steve? Is it 5 Eastern?
No, 7 Eastern, 6 Central.
Okay, and the reason I say this is I've talked to her. She's a really nice lady. They got a lot of stuff going on, and she's willing to work with 3D Buzz artists to get them published, and there's money involved. Now, I can say this to say that I can introduce you. She will look at your work, and there will be a tryout. I had to do a tryout page for inking, and she loved it. It was good. I actually think about screw drawing. Let's be an inker because it's a lot easier. But there will be a tryout involved, so I can't guarantee you anything except the opportunity to try. So I encourage you guys to tune into the radio show on the 28th of June 2013 for that, because who knows what doors that will open. So continue to work really hard. I love where we're going. The direction is awesome. Sid, Chelsea, beautiful art. Seriously, just I can't compliment you enough. Wolf, there's no doubt in my mind that you will not secure a job someplace doing work, doing color. You've come so far, and just not with color, with your artwork. And I say this to say that everybody's listening right now, whether you're in class live with me right now or you're catching up. Never mind the swear words and the silliness. You guys just have to believe in yourself. Everybody in this class so far has come so far. I encourage you to keep your sketches so 2 months from now you can look back and see how far you've come. I encourage you to be part of the art team. We'll find a place for you, because the only way you get better is to practice and to do. And I will make you think outside the box. Just like Steve will make me get away from tape boobies, I will have to think outside the box. So with that said, keep your feet on the ground, your ankles slightly above them, and see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Good job this week.